and opening up, and we have recognized the very fast development, and it is also true with the Satellite Launch Center. So what are the changes over the past 4 decades? I will give you a tool to guide you around. And second part, the development of the aerospace course cannot be separated from the astronauts and also the aerospace workers. So today we will show you around the daily routine of the people working in this area. And in the third part of our presentation, we will do a Q&A. Every time when we talk about the Xichang Satellite Launch Center, we are very curious about the work inside. We want to know what are the things of preparation to accomplish before the launching, and from takeoff to the entrance into the orbit, who will take the control of the rocket. And seems as if there was a brain inside the rocket, and what is it inside exactly? And some people also want to have a tour around the tower of the launch. So we will show you around inside this launch center. Before the opening of the presentation of today, I'll give you a surprise. Please look over there. It's about 200 meters away. You can see the model of the rocket. That is Changzheng 3, the carrier rocket. Actually, it's not the model, it's a real rocket. It's not the model, it's the real rocket. And as time goes by during our presentation, we will move closer and closer to the carrier rocket. Do you want to see that? Please stay tuned. And after 4 decades of the development inside this launch center, what are the changes? Maybe we could give you some statistics. After reform and opening up for this launch center, we have successfully accomplished 122 missions of the launch. Maybe at the beginning, by 1980s, each year or every 2 years, we will do 1 launching, and later, we have accomplished 17 rounds, and this year we have accomplished 13 rounds of launch. Look at the models we have. This is Changzheng 3 carrier model, and over there, that is the real one. So I'm holding the model for that. With the increasing numbers of the launches, what is the significance? I have invited an expert, the first expert, Mr. Li Benqi. Hi, Mr. Li. Please say hi to the audience. Hi, everyone. I'm the Vice Director. I'm Li Benqi. Just now we made an introduction on the launching numbers of the center. So what is the significance of this number? From the beginning of the 1980s, every 2 or 3 years, we can make only 1 launch. However, today, by the end of this year, we could do 17 launches together for the whole year. This is a significant breakthrough in the technology. Because there is a big change in the demand. Back to the 1980s, it's even difficult for us to make a phone call. However, nowadays, everything's connected to the internet, so the situation has completely changed. It's the same thing with the television. In the past, if we could have a TV set, it's already a big thing. If we could have a color TV set, then it's better. And today, we're no longer satisfied with that. We want better resolution of the pictures, and we have higher demand. It's also true with navigation. In the past, when we travel to a unknown place, we want to ask for the direction. We will ask local people. But now we use quite a lot navigation. We cannot live without navigation. And talking about the navigation technology, here we also have a model. What is this? This is the Beidou. Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System, TDRSS. On orbit, we have 24 satellites. And for the synchronization, we have a stronger signal to ensure that in China and in neighboring countries of China, we can have a better service. After so many launches of Beidou satellites, could we feel the advantages and the benefits from the use of the Beidou satellites? Yes. You have the Domo and also the TDRSS from the Beidou. If you use the mobile phone made by Huawei, for the users, they don't care what satellites are flying in the space. They just want a good signal and good service. So we could give you an example. This is the navigation system. This is a test software. We can have GPS, also the Beidou satellite. 9 satellites for Beidou and 7 for GPS. And finally, what matters for the customers, it's the precision of the positioning. For example, as precise as to 5 meters, it's already satisfying for the customers. After the launching of all the satellites, we have also done the strengthening on the ground. For example, for the measuring of the bridges and also for the slides of the hills, for these kind of scenarios, we need a higher level of precision. But for the ordinary users, this level is already okay for them. So the users could actually feel the changes with the improvements. With our mobile phone, we could already feel the benefits of the Beidou satellites. So in the future, could we cover the last kilometer with the satellites of Beidou? Because today, when the taxi is coming to pick us at the last kilometer, we need to call the driver in order to give the precise positioning of ourselves to the driver. Yes, in the future, we could cover the last kilometer. And in the future, for the more professional users, we could be even more precise. This is a lunar rover. And it's the first one that has realized the soft landing, the first probe at the moon. After the lunar landing, what are the changes? Could we feel that in our daily life? For ordinary users, the future development of the aerospace would bring us the possibility of a tourism in space. That is something we can expect. Currently, we don't have a space station at the moon, but in the future, that is in our plan. Now we are landing on the moon to testify some of the technologies. For example, the communications between the Earth and the moon, and also on the long side face. So in the future, we could expect a tour of 5 days in the moon. What we are doing now is actually to pave the way to the moon for tourism. The scale is 1 versus 8. After talking about the numbers of launches of the satellites, there's another question. Some people are very curious about the tower. That is the tower of launch. Could we bring the audience up there? So let's go. At this point, when we look at the tower, we think it's significant. We need to wear a helmet to protect us when we are over there. Okay, well, we are very well equipped. Is it new one? Or is it a renewed one? It's actually a new one. We could give you the footage of this tower of launch. We can climb up by this way. And by these tubes, we could inject the energy inside the rocket. And the fuel we use in the rocket is a special one. It has a special acceleration system. When there's the fuel inside, then during the utilization of the fuel, all the gas emissions by the fuel will be collected and recycled inside the rocket and be reused. It is for the protection of the environment and also for the economy of, for the savings of the resources and energy. Nowadays, when we make things, we should also consider the factors to the environmental protection. Now we are inside this tower of launch. What is the height of the tower? It's about 94 meters. For the old tower, before the renovation, it's about 80 meters or more. But the major change is not with the height, because we just added a little bit to the height. And for the rocket, in the past it's 50 meters, and now the length is 56. But now, the most important thing about the rocket is that it has grown in its width. Because there are two other accelerators attached to the rocket today, and we want to know what are in these tubes, the pipelines, what is inside. So you could leave us questions on the platform so we could deliver that to Mr. Lee. For example, those piles in orange, inside there is electricity and there is liquid and also the fuels. Inside there's also optic fibers. The major function of that is to transmit the signal from top to the downside or the other way up in order to connect the signals of the rocket with the ground side. The weight of the rocket is 30 tons, and the satellite is 5 tons. When we are standing inside this tower of launch, I feel even closer to the rocket. Now let's go downside. And as I mentioned, during the presentation, we will move closer and closer to that carrier rocket of Changzheng. Mr. Lee, since when you worked here? 1992, after graduation from university. So it's about 20 years ago. When you came here for the first time, is it like this? I think there are so many green mountains, it seems like we are living in an ecological zoo. If you protect these mountains, then the environment could be restored by itself. And for the launchings of the satellites or the rockets, there is no harm to the environment actually, except for that trembling of the Earth during that exact moment of the launching. For the rest, there is no harm. So we may move to that way. Now we will take the car to move closer to that rocket of Changzheng. Talking about the Xichang Satellite Launch Center, People are interested by different things. Some are curious about the 12 hours before the launching, what are the preparations by the workers, and what are the checks. And just now inside the tower, Mr. Lee talked about some of the preparations. And now, Mr. Lee, could you please talk more about the checks before the launch? Yes. There are 12 hours of check before the official launching. For the previous 12 hours to previous 8 hours, we will add low temperature fuel. We will do the last minute check and the last time of preparation. For example, the control system should be equipped with battery inside the rocket, and also the aiming for the rocket. We should check that for the last time. And for the other test equipments, after the last check, we will remove them from the rocket, and we should also do the health checks. It's just like a person goes to the hospital for health exam, so he has to run through all the checks to see the different parts of the body. While Mr. Lee introducing the 12 previous hours before the launching, we are arriving at the foot of the carrier of Changzhou, and now it's closer and it looks bigger now. So let's move closer to give you a better look at it. In the TV picture, you don't see how big it is. And for us, to go inside the rocket, the space is very generous. We could have a very huge space height of 3.35 meters. Inside the rocket, space is not the only thing. It's not as big as possible because when it's too big, then sometimes you may risk to fall down. We have to take some protection measures in the Changzhou 5. Sometimes we have to have the belts of security attached to our bodies. This is the same with this one. Before the entrance of the rocket inside, we have to check it. We need to know what are the places to tap and some other places to avoid. In what places we can extend our hands, arms, and some other places we cannot move. When we move closer to the rocket, we have to have the basic knowledge of the rocket. You should know what are the do's and don't do's. For the static electricity, we have to release that before getting close to the rocket. So for this clothing, it is anti-static electricity. For all the people getting in touch with the product, getting in touch with the rocket, they have to put on these clothes. And there's another question. They want to know the routine of your work. The other things other than the work. For example, these clothes. Apart from the function of anti-static electricity, is it warm? Is it actually the major function is anti-static electricity. Is not waterproof. It's rather normal. The only function is anti-static electricity. So all the equipments have only one objective, is to secure your work. And now you can see that the tower is expanded. And the rocket, it seems that it's rather close to the ground. However, there's still a height of 4.2 meters. And dear viewers, we are now in the Xichang Satellite Launch Center in Sichuan Province. We are giving you a live stream. And for those who are watching the program, you are very lucky because in front of us is the Changzheng 3 carrier rocket, and this is a real one instead of a model. And let's get back to the preparations before the launch. Just now we talked about between the 12 to 8 hours before the launch. For that period is the adding of the low temperature fuels and also the liquefied hydrogen. First of all, we have to lower the temperature in the pipe times until minus 200 degrees Celsius for this pre-freezing of the pipelines hours. And then 3 hours before the launch, we have to check again for the last minute. For example, we have to do the settings for the pre-flight status of the rocket and the satellite. We should make sure that it will enter into the orbit that we have set. And also, it could follow the ballistic that we have prepared for them. This we call the status setting and confirmation before the flight, and later we can let it fly. For the launching, there's another consideration. We should consider weather conditions, whether it is favorable. So that is the window time for the launching and also the weather conditions before the launching of the rocket. We think that the last note should be no more than 15 meters. And the electricity field should also to a limited range. And we could not allow the thundering and also the raining because the thunder will significantly impact this rocket system. And before we know that for the supervision of the weather conditions, it's very precise. Actually, we are doing differently from the weather service. For the other weather stations, they will focus on the whole region. However, here we are focused on this spot of a radius of 8 kilometers. We've heard a sound. Could we hear that during the day of the launch? Yes. For example, before the official launching, 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, if the mission is completed, if the work has been done, then we will give that sound to show that this step has been completed. But the most important thing is that if there is a problem occurring, whether we could accomplish that mission in the limited time period. Yesterday, actually, we have made a video for the 01 commander, and it's also a lady. Now, we'd like to invite you to have a look at the footage we have connected yesterday. Dear viewers, we are now in the Xichang Satellite Launching Center. This is the commander's office, and this is Madam Zhang. She is the #1 commander, and she is also the first female commander. My name is Zhang Zhihong. I'm the 01 commander-in-chief for this launching field. Could you please show us your workplace? It is over there. Let's go and have a look. It's very far from here. In the past, when I was still very young, I look forward to getting that position, and finally, I could be there. Talking about the low temperature fueling system, I've heard that you have occupied all the positions connected to the low temperature motoring system. In 2007, we established that system, and 8 years later, I have experienced all the positions connected to the low temperature motoring system. How many positions are there? We have 9 positions. We have 3 big systems for the check and control, for the equipment, and these could be to smaller posts. In 2007, you entered here into the center. You would be here, one commander chief. Actually, there, but I didn't think it through because it's so far away from me. 2007, I just graduated from university, and with a sentiment of glorious mission, I came here, and this is my major too in the university. I know that the rocket is an important tool to bring the satellite into the space. I'm curious about everything, and talking about the #1 commander, I think it's cool. You have to do the counting down, you have to light up the rocket, and you think it's so cool to do the job. And my colleagues endorse my master. I ask him the question, is it nominated or is it selected to be the #1 commander? Actually, to be the #1 commander, you have to have the overall knowledge about more than 200 positions. But back to 2007, I knew nothing about a number of the positions. So at that moment, I think that to be the #1 commander, they are actually the real experts, high-range experts. So at the moment, I didn't imagine that I would be the commander-in-chief. You've changed a lot of positions. Is it a natural change, or is it demanded by yourself? Is it self-driven one? So when I sit here, I may think that maybe I could push myself harder to learn more. But for each position, there's different knowledge. For the reason, it is divided into several systems. Between 2 different systems actually are shared and connected. At the beginning, with the signalization position and the warnings, and you know that the warning department is connected with the other departments, and then I was second position Because they think I'm a lady, it's not very convenient for me to climb up and down on the tower, so they ask me to do the checks and surveillance. For the control and surveillance, they are responsible for the whole units, for example, the powerhouse. So the powerhouse is also connected with the measuring house and with the other departments. If you want to do well the work for the control and surveillance, you have to learn things about the other departments. That is how you build up your knowledge system and you learn more about the work in other positions. So gradually you think that you could be adapted to the work of the other position. If you have something that you don't know, you would not hesitate to learn. That is how you learn things here. So now when you learn this, you think you may learn the other thing, and finally you add up all the knowledge you gain. And very naturally, you could be transferred to another post. Could you please talk about the main work that you are doing? I think the most apparent one is to give the orders. Actually, it's not all about that. The first impression may be that actually behind that you have to have a general knowledge about everything, about all the departments of work. Only by knowing everything could you have a good arrangement of the work. Who would come first, who should wait for the second check, and what is the order of doing work, and what are the checks to do, and in what order, what are the programs to test, at what moment that we would do the test, what departments should come to support the work of another department, what is your plan, and how could you apply your plan, and during the execution of the plan, you should also take care of the risk management and also the informationalization. For the whole work, you have to have the big picture. So during the official launching day, you will stay here or you could go other places. In different moments, I would be different places. When we are checking the low temperature fuel system, if I don't need to stay here to give orders, after checking the status of some essential parts, I could go to the backstage to check the low temperature fuel system. And for the other systems, they have also their commanders present here in the commanding office. So at different stages of the work, I will be in different places. When everything's ready, you could give the order. We should also wait for the window time. Yes. For the demanded period of time, we have to accomplish the demanded work. In the live stream program, you could hear our counting down 1 minute, 50 seconds, 40 seconds, 30, of 20, 10 seconds. And starting by 10 seconds, we will count down from 10 to 1 to 0. What we could see on TV, that is after the 10th second. So for that countdown is from this office. When we watched the video before, when you talked about your work, you said the first thing you said about is study and endless study. And they say that you have to accomplish each mission to 100%. You should have a very perfect completion of the work. We think it's absolute. For the aerospace work, there is the double completion. That is the completion of the procedure and completion of the results. When we say it's 100% perfect completion, so it may be that we have successfully launched a rocket to the sky. And for outsider, it's already a big success. However, it's not enough for us. For each stage of the checks and tests, there should not be an error in the commanding and no errors in operation. That is what we call another perfect completion. That is the completion of the procedure. That is another 100% of contribution by everyone without any excuse. We said that it is the spirit of Xichang and also the spirit of the satellites. We have this archive museum in which we could read the stories of the previous generations of the workers here. And we say that for the previous generation, they can set up the foundings for the work, and then for the next generation to come, we could benefit a lot. And now it's 40th anniversary after reform and opening up. For the people who work here, I think that they are working in a down-to-earth manner. The country has invested so much in this work, so we should also be serious with our work. We should be very responsible for the work we do, not only responsible for ourselves, but also for the other colleagues who work by our side.
大家好，我们现在所在的这个位置啊，是西昌卫星发射中心的
So, dear viewers, just now Zhang Runhong, she is the Commander-in-Chief for the launching center. Because she has a very full gender, she could not join us for the live stream. However, we could go inside to see what she's doing now. Let's keep our voice low so that we will not disturb their daily work. We will just show you the working status of Madam Zhang. So let's go inside and have a look. Let's move inside to the workplace of the #1 commander. Madam Zhang is working now. In our interview with Madam Zhang, maybe you have heard that from the footage. She said that for each task and for each work, I should have a 100% of perfect completion without any excuse. And this is not only a request for herself, but also the request for all the people and the colleagues working at this place. We have mentioned that we work with the spirit of the satellite and also the A-bombs. Today, we'll talk more about the aerospace spirit, and aerospace spirit is an adapted version of the spirit of the A-bombs and the satellites, and this spirit could be demonstrated by the work of every colleague here. Madam Zhang is working now as the commander-in-chief. She has to check all the statistics about this rocket. Mr. Li, could you please tell us what Madam Zhang is doing? Actually, it's a mimic launching of the rocket. We are simulating the scenario during the 3 hours before the launch of the rocket, except for that adding up of the fuels inside the rocket. For the other stages of the work, we will go through this procedure one after another so that every step could be connected to another. And this is to test whether each colleague could collaborate in a seamless way. We could hear the orders here, and the commander-in-chief would make a reaction to that. So let's move to the next station. We will not disturb any longer the workers in the hall. Since reform and opening up, China has seen its national strength improved, and it is also true with the aerospace development, as not only the improvement with the technologies and equipments. It is also with the daily life of the people working in this sector. So let's move to the next station to see what they are doing now in their daily life. Just now, we've shown you what is the work look like for the Commander-in-Chief, Madam Zhang. When she is talking about her work, she seems so happy. She said that when she's new here, when she just joined the work, at her position at the time, she thought that it seems so far away, that position as the Commander-in-Chief. And at that moment, she envied so much the work of the then Commander-in-Chief, and that then Commander-in-Chief is Mr. Li, just beside me. I worked during that period where we have launched the Chang'e 1 and the series satellites of Beidou, and those are very impressive ones. I have witnessed the development of the satellites of the Beidou from the first generation to the second, then to the third. And I have experienced all the victories by myself. You're a witness for the development of the launch center too. And during your work, you have experienced the happiness about the victories of the launches. So, are there unforgettable memories? It's by 1997, the 1st of June, there's a big event. For that day, due to the weather conditions, actually we have missed the best window period. We have used 40 minutes to detach all the fuels and the parts from the rocket so that we could save everything. And 5 years later, we have decided to launch again. And then in other scenarios, there will be some unexpected problems just before the launching. For example, you have to change one part of the rocket, or there is a leak of the fuel. In that case, you have to make a very quick reaction in real time. Finally, we have succeeded in the reaction. And for the ground problems, nowadays we have found fewer and fewer of them. At the beginning of the launching of the rockets, the status of the rocket is not very stable. However, today it's better and better. In the beginning, in the launching field, we still encountered a lot of problems. But today, in many scenarios, there is zero problem for us. That is the process of development. At the beginning, we do have problems, but later we grow and we learn things, and finally, the problems could be reduced and we can have a better performance in the work. We think that you are keeping the low key, and you are not bragging about your work. You think that is not a big deal. It's normal to have the victory because it is your duty. However, for us, we fully appreciate your hard work. As for each satellite, for each one of them, there's a very huge investment. And for the most expensive one, it has a cost of 4 billion RMB. So we have to dedicate 100% of our energy inside. Otherwise, we would make the other people disappointed. And from the making to launching of each satellite, there will be millions of people involved inside, and takes years sometimes to accomplish all that process. So many people work for the same target. If we start from the raw materials, it means that even more people are engaged for the manufacturing and the launching of the same satellite. So for us, there's no excuse to not be serious about our work. And today, with the development of the aerospace sector, our daily life could draw more and more benefits from that. And we could also offer better utilization experience to the customers. In the past, we have very few phones. we have limited means of communication. But today, people are no longer satisfied with the wireless phones. They want to know what we could do with our mobile phone apart from making calls. So in the future, we will bring the signal station to the space so that wherever you go in the future, you could always have the coverage of the signals. Even though you're inside the mountains, you're in the mountain areas, you can still have the possibility to download a movie because the signal is always guaranteed. And the success rate is higher and higher for the launching of the satellites. So is it because that you are stronger in face of the difficulties? You are stronger in face of those small monsters? Yes, you may say that. And it's also thanks to the development of the technologies. I will give a very simple example. In the past, for the separate parts, we have very limited number of that. The qualification rate is very low. We have to hand-pick those qualified equipments and parts. And now there's no more this problem. We can pick 10 qualified one out from 10 options. And also for the system, it's also improved. For the rocket, there are 3 CPUs inside the computer inside the rocket, and among the 3 CPUs, if 2 work, 2 of the 3 work, and we can already guarantee the good performance of the rocket. In this way, we could ensure that during the flight, everything's okay. And today, we have shown to the audience the Changzheng 3 rocket. So many people are asking, are we launching that? Actually, it's not today. According to the plan, it will be the 1st of January. So that is the satellite and the rocket for the next mission. The reason why we could get this close to the rocket is because we don't launch it today. Otherwise, if we want to launch it today and we need to add up the fuel and check everything for the journalists, we could not get close to that. And later, we will show you the footage captured by the drones to see what people are doing in the Niutou mountain. Please wait a second. We know that the rocket is traveling at very far. The rockets in a very Dear viewers, as you could see, the drone is traveling all the way with us, and by several minutes, we could reach the next station. On our way, we could see the villagers. It's a very simple way of life.
我看到有网友说没声音啊，是因为我们刚刚给大家看了一下我们无人机实时画面。
And just now there's a viewer saying that there's no sound. Actually, it's for the footage of the drones. And from the footage of the drone, we could see that our launch center is located inside the hilly areas. And here we only have villages instead of the high buildings in the cities. So the workers here, they are working in a very difficult conditions. And Mr. Li, according to you, for the surrounding environment, is it changing a lot after 40 years of development? I think they are doing okay. In the past, it's a very poor village. At the beginning, they were even poorer than now. After the decades of development, they have the coverage of the electricity network, and they have the water supply, and also they have the television signals and the network coverage. So now they can have access to all the services. That is a big change. Another thing is the change with their production model. In the past, they only used manpower to do the farming. And now you could see the small harvesters and some other equipment to do agriculture. In the past, you could not see any vehicle, any car, private cars for the households, but today it's no longer the case. Nearly every household could have a car. And today we are talking about the big changes for the 4 decades after the reform and opening up. We are not only giving you the changes about the launch center, but also the environment, because economic development is behind everything. You have to have the economic support. And for the viewers, in front of us, that is the next spot of interview. We're now at the Nyoto Mountain. Let's see the daily work of the people here. And Mr. Lee, you could take a rest in the car. I will continue to show the audience around the place. And Mr. Chen Fei, nice to see you. And Mr. Chen Fei, could you please say hi to everyone? Hello, everyone. I'm a worker for the measurement and control. Welcome to our beautiful Nyoto Mountain. Yes, it's very pretty. On our way, we have already explained a little bit to the audience. Could you please talk more about your work? It's at the highest altitude. What is the altitude? 1,720 meters of the Nyoto Mountain. Here we could have a control of the tower of launch. And we are at the best position of the measurement and control. It is the first stage of the measurement control. And over there is a cultural wall. For the Nyoto Mountain, there is a poem here sculptured into the wall talking about the development and the changes over the past decades in the Nyoto Mountain. We are located in the southwestern area of China. Since 1979, we have established optic measurement, radio measurement, and the other complementary measurement equipment. We could cover different types of measurements. We have completed more than 100 missions of measurement and control. At the beginning of our live stream, we told the audience that after the reform and opening up, we have successfully completed 122 missions of launch here at the satellite center. So that means for the measure and control department, you have been involved in all the 122 missions, right? Yes, exactly. From the establishment of this spot, we have developed the spirit of the Nyoto Mountain. You are very talented. For the first step of the measurement of the and of the control, What are the changes over the past 4 decades? Is it with the technology, or with the talent, or with the operation? First, I could show you around some historical traces. This is a security control equipment. In 1998, it's brought here. For security control, is it for the launching of the rocket? Yes, in the measurement and control system, that is the key equipment. The normal operation of this part is closely connected to the security of the rocket and also the daily life of the people and also the safety of their property and of their life. Yes, once there is a new satellite in the sky, our life could be improved even more. In 2009, it's retired. In the same year, we have used another one. Actually, we have replaced this equipment by another set of new machine. It's more automatic and it's more intelligent. And also for the error rate, it is down. And it's also thanks to the economic development so that we could have the capacity to change to the newest generation of the equipment. That is the radar, also a retired one. At the beginning here at the top of Niutou Mountain, we don't have the radar system. So that was a problem in the past for the measurement and control. At the beginning, we used the optic machines. However, in bad weather conditions, we could not use that. The tracking precision will be deeply impacted. That's why we have changed to this one so that we can have 24 hours of measurement and control. Compared to the optic equipment, this one is more advanced. However, today it's also out of date. We have replaced it with another one. The new one is just less than 2 kilometers from the number 2 tower, and from this place we could have a look at it. And just now we said that it's the first step of the measurement and control is to track the orbit and the trace of the rocket. Where we could do that is over there. I will show you the highest point of the Niutou Mountain and also another optic equipment. For this optic equipment, it has a very large vision to cover the whole area. And then, with us, we could show you around over there on the highest spot. And you could see by your own eyes the structure of the equipment and also to see how we could trace the flight of the rocket. And here there are so many trees. And I heard that in the beginning, there's nothing on the mountain. It's a deserted one. Back to 1979, it's a deserted mountain for the first generation of workers here. They have worked a little bit with the environment and seeing the fruits. As in 2000, we have planted this fruit tree. Is it edible? Yes, you could have a taste. This is the loquat. The loquat, planted by the workers here. Hope the taste is good. I'll have a bite. It's okay. It's rather delicious. The best. I love it. Actually, it's also part of the effort of the people, because it's not easy to plant trees here. They're very busy in the daily work. And now in the Niutou Mountain, the environment has been greatly improved with the vegetation and also with the colorful trees. And the climate is also good. I like this natural atmosphere. It's all green. And for the workers in the aerospace sector, we say that you work at the front line of the technologies. And for the other cutting-edge technologies, workers, they work in the big towers, big buildings in the big cities. And here, it's totally different. You work in nature. And that is maple. No, actually, it's the Boston ivy, also planted by ourselves. And it has climbed for years. It climbed until today, together with our workers. So it's a long way from that highest point, and there's a big slope here. To its right, we could first have a big picture of the building. And that is the equipment we'd like to introduce to you. What is the full name of that? It's the optic equipment for the theodolite. So let's have a look at the theodolite. It has a long history. It's built on the highest point of the mountain, and it has accompanied the growth of the mountain. The mountain has also witnessed the growth of this theodolite, and it's even older than we do. Today we are doing the second round of the joint checks of the equipment inside. They are working now. Could we have a look? We'll show you how they work in the screen. This is one mission that we have made 2 months ago. That is a picture captured by our optic instrument, the theodolite. And you could have a very direct understanding of the missions that we have completed. And you could see that there's a very beautiful tail just behind the rocket. Could we go up to see how we could manipulate the machine, the theodolite? Yes. And dear viewers, we're about to climb up to see the theodolite. Let's have a look at their working environment. Hello to you all. Downstairs, we've seen the pictures captured by this theodolite. Could you please show us how to manipulate this machine? Can we go inside? You need to climb over. First, an introduction. This is Mr. Ma Shaofeng, who's about to introduce this machine to us. I'm the commander for the optic measurements. My name is Ma Shaofeng. Later, he would give us a lot of knowledge about the structure and everything about the theodolite. Could you please tell us the functions of different parts? This is the aiming string, so that you could follow the movements of the objects. Can we see things? Have a try. What you can see is the launching tower of the number 3 Changzheng 3. You could only see from your right eyes. Let's have a try to see whether we could give the picture to the audience. We have to cover one eye because with both eyes you cannot focus. So that you would be more precise in aiming. And you could also make yourself concentrated in the picture. Sorry, we tried, but it didn't work out. You cannot see the picture inside the aiming window. Here you could, by the color, you could see that which one we are using because it's all used up. Those are the traces that you left after years of hard work here. It's been used after 3 decades. You don't change that. Actually, we think it is a hero machine, so we don't change that plate. If you change only this part, maybe there would be an error of observation. Do you have other shots? This is to capture the visible light, and for the other lens, it is for the infrared. Sorry, I have to operate now. Just now we have talked about the procedure of the operation.
我们都说啊，工作的人是帅的，认真工作的人是最帅的。看我们航天工作者，只要投入到工作中，都是全神贯注的状态。那我们各位网友再静静的等待一下，等我们马上峰老师完成了这项工作任务之后，再给我们继续介绍我们经纬仪的构造和使用方法，是吗？我们还有个东西没说呢，给我10分钟收尾。
This machine.
而且还有一个问题啊，可能是因为我之前也不知道，我们都以为这台经纬仪的。
In the past, there's something I didn't know. For the operation of the theodolite, we think it's automatic. That means it would follow and trace automatically the traces of the rocket. Actually, it's not so. It's manual. That is why Mr. Ma is working now. He's checking all the statistics. And according to the explanations of Mr. Ma, if we trace manually the running of the rockets, it would be more precise. Because we first have a calculated statistics, on that basis, we have to readjust the errors. Because each time when we launch, the statistics may be a little bit varied. That's why we need the operation in real time by our workers, so tracking would be more precise and it could be a better foundation for the future launchings of the rockets. In order not to disturb them any longer, the introduction of this machine would be end here. And we have talked about the whole area and the work in here and everything for about 2 hours. I think it's long enough for a live stream program. However, 2 hours are far from enough to show you the development of the launch center. So today, by our live stream program, you must have a deeper knowledge about the work and the satellites and also the influence that they have on our daily life. And what are the benefits we could draw from the satellites? We have climbed the tower of the launch and we have visited the Noto Mountain, the theodolite, and to see how it could track the movements of the rockets. We have seen the rocket by ourselves, and we hope that in the future, these workers could have a very successful work. We also wish a big success to the aerospace development in China and for all the people working for the reform and opening up of China. We want to say congratulations and thank you for your hard work. It's due to your efforts that we could witness such a fast development in China.
那我们今天的直播啊，到这里就要结束了。在直播的最后呢，我们再用
So that is about the end of our live stream. By the end, we could show you around by the footage of our drone. This is Chen Xiaohan from CCTV in Xichang.